Hello friends! The range of power units includes 2 petrol, 1.4 and 1.6 liters, and 1 diesel, 1.5 DCI, in various power engines. Among gasoline engines, the 1.6 liter HR16DE is the most preferred. The 88 horsepower 1.4 liter CR14DE is too weak. Overtaking is protracted and unsafe. The 110 horsepower 1.6 liter handles the car's weight much better thanks to its higher torque, by 25 Nm. At the same time, it consumes a little more fuel, but the difference is not significant. Petrol 1.4 and 1.6 have a timing chain drive, but the atmospheric 1.4 chain is less durable. Its replacement may be needed after 150 to 200,000 kilometers. In addition, the 1.4 liter unit suffers from oil leaks through the valve cover gasket, spark plug well seats, or from under the phase shifter valve flange bolts. The petrol 1.6 liters, this disease is not familiar. The supports of both power units become unusable closer to 200,000 kilometers. But the most unpleasant feature of the gasoline 1.4 is an increase in oil consumption after 160 to 200,000 kilometers. In the best case, the oil burner can be defeated by replacing the valve stem seals. Sometimes you have to update the oil scraper rings. In the worst case, the owners are forced to change the motor to a contract one. The French diesel is the well-known 1.5 DCI, which debuted in 2001. Unfortunately, this turbo diesel cannot boast of an impeccable reputation. The thing is that this unit did not get rid of the inherent disadvantage, turning the connecting rod bearings. Not all mechanics are willing to undertake repairs, preferring to replace worn parts entirely. What further aggravates the situation is the failure of auxiliary equipment, wear of the turbocharger, injectors, problems with camshafts, and oil leaks. The cost of fixing any of these problems starts in the hundreds of dollars, and there is no way to prevent possible failures. Definitely, it is necessary to change the oil more often and regularly, at least once every 8 to 10,000 kilometers. But this is not a way to avoid expenses, only an attempt to delay trouble. Injectors, as a rule, withstand more than 150,000 kilometers. But it happens that they give up even earlier, and refurbishment is not always effective. A necessary condition for the longevity of the 1.5 DCI is the use of high-quality diesel fuel. The petrol 1.4 and 1.6 were combined with a 5-speed manual gearbox. The 4-speed automatic was offered only with the 110 horsepower 1.6. The manual transmission clutch usually travels over 150 to 200,000 kilometers. Often, a worn release bearing was forced to resort to replacing the clutch. Difficulties with switching are sometimes caused by biting the cable of the gear selection mechanism. One of the common defects in mechanics that work in tandem with the 1.4 is noise, rattling, at idle speed, which disappears when you press the clutch pedal. The disease manifests itself after 50 to 100,000 kilometers, and the likely sources are shaft bearings or axial play of the input shaft. Some manage to get rid of extraneous noise after changing the type of transmission fluid. The presence of a flaw does not affect the resource of a manual transmission. The Jatco automatic machine demonstrates good reliability. Rare cases of repair occur after 250 to 300,000 kilometers. But there are also boxes that have reached 400 to 480,000 kilometers without intervention. True, after 140 to 180,000 kilometers, from time to time there is a hang-up of the box when switching from first to second gear. The culprit is a rotten pull-down resistor, which is mounted on the left side member. McPherson struts are installed on the front axle of Nissan and an elastic beam on the rear axle. Silent blocks of the front levers and ball bearings are rented closer to 80 to 120,000 kilometers. Silent blocks of the rear beam and front subframe usually live up to 150 to 200,000 kilometers. Worn elements can be replaced separately. Front shock absorbers with thrust bearings reach up to 100 to 150,000 kilometers. Rear shock absorbers usually last longer. After 150 to 200,000 kilometers, one of the front springs may burst. After 100 to 150,000 kilometers, you may have to replace the wheel bearings. They change separately from the hubs. In cars with automatic transmission, after 50 to 100,000 kilometers, an extraneous knock was sometimes detected. This is the result of a design miscalculation. The upper attachment point of the left subframe link was destroyed on the side member. At the start of production, the Nissan Note quickly gave up the steering rack, which was changed at the expense of the manufacturer during the warranty period. In other cars, its repair or replacement may be needed after 200 to 250,000 kilometers. External CV joints can make noise after 100 to 200,000 kilometers. And after 150 to 200,000 kilometers, the left axle shaft may break. Destruction occurs in the area of the balancer, stabilizing gum. In chairs with combined upholstery, after 1 to 4 years, cracks could appear on the leatherette inserts. When contacting the service, the upholstery was changed under warranty. Sometimes when maneuvering, water gets on the driver or front passenger. This is condensation that accumulates under the ceiling. Water seeps into the passenger compartment through the sun visor mount. After 150 to 200,000 kilometers, the drive mechanism of the front or rear wiper often turns sour. Usually it is possible to restore the wiper's performance after disassembling, cleaning, and lubricating the mechanism. The windshield washer stops working with age due to burnt contacts on the steering column switch. Many note the insufficiently efficient operation of the heater. It is cold in the cabin in winter. More often, complaints are heard from owners of cars with a base 1.4. Some are helped by flushing or replacing the heater radiator, others manage to replace the radiator cap. But more often the problem remains unresolved, going to the list of features of the model. One of the reasons for the penetration of cold air into the cabin is a shrunken seal at the point where the air conditioner pipes enter the engine shield. After 150 to 200,000 kilometers, the backlight of the climate control knobs begins to go out periodically. The reason is poor soldering of resistors that need to be soldered again. Soon, the heater fan or its resistor also gives up. Sometimes a melted connector is to blame for the failure of the heater motor. A little later, the wiring in the protective corrugation between the body and the trunk lid is interrupted, which is why the rear wiper, trunk lock, or glass heating stops working. Over time, the stock cable wears out, which leads to the failure of the buttons on the steering wheel, and the airbag malfunction indicator lights up. The Nissan Note has come under a recall campaign to replace the pyrotechnic cartridges for the Takata front airbag inflator. If you know of other model malfunctions, be sure to write about it.